public office and perverting the course of justice. Arguably one of the most written about police officers in recent years, Ali Dizaei, who's in the studio with me. Morning, Mr. Dizaei.
Yeah, good morning to you.
If we look back at the events of the last few years,
Yes.
what would be your biggest regret?
I think my biggest regret would be that I ought to have been a lot more street savvy, that my adversaries were very determined to get me and prosecute me and put me in jail after I won my case in 2003. I think that is my regret. I should have been far more careful and be aware of their determination to prosecute me and persecute me.
But the events for which you have been to jail happened long after 2003. They happened in 2008.
Yeah, they did, and there was no shortage of attempts between there and then, of course, to get me. I mean, for example, the classic one you will remember from the American Express saga, where many police officers were prosecuted. I mean, there was a very
You were clear of that by Dorset Chief Constable Martin Baker looked at it, but if we come back to the events of 2008,
yes.
You did attack Mr. Wahid al-Baghdadi at a restaurant which I think is owned by one of your family in Kensington,
yeah.
and you subsequently beat yourself up to try and show that you'd been the victim of an assault. Why did you do all of that?
Well, I was convicted of those offences. I appealed, as you know, my conviction, and 3 very senior appeal judges found that the appeal, allowed the appeal, and said that the conviction was unsafe.
Yes.
We have now discovered since
But that subsequently was heard, and the appeal was
Absolutely.
heard, but you were put back in jail.
Absolutely.
So you lost the appeal.
We've lost the appeal, and
Yeah.
there is a re-appeal. And the gist of the answer to your question is a very simple one. You have a person who, and we can say this because it's a matter of public record, it's a bogus asylum seeker who had come to this country from 2003.
This is untrue. It may speak to his character, Mr. Dizaei, but does that mean what he says is... dear God, you're a former police officer. Are you saying then that everybody who has come into this country is automatically a liar?
No.
Right.
Not everybody who's coming to this country,
As a bogus
Nick, because I came to this
but as a
country
bogus asylum seeker, I appreciate it might speak to the man's character.
Right. That's bad character.
But it was enough to satisfy the court on more than one occasion, Mr. Dizaei.
Stealing in the name of your dead father and stealing disability money.
And beating yourself up, pretending you've been assaulted by him. Why would you do that?
I deny that.
You deny it?
Absolutely deny it. Why do you think I'm going to the Court of Appeal? I think the evidence of the doctor, ironically, was so lacked credibility that the judge didn't even mention it in his summing up. That's the grounds for the appeal. There is skullduggery taking place, and that's the matter that we're going to go to the Court of Appeal.
So this business deal with Mr. al-Baghdadi, whatever it may have been, you never entered into business with Mr. al-Baghdadi.
But Nick, you must at the very least concede one thing. As a result of my conviction, sad as it is, hence I'm here, and hence I'm being called a disgrace. As a result of my conviction, a benefit fraudster who was stealing money from the British taxpayer was actually convicted and put in prison. Now, that's got to be a positive thing, because one thing people certainly may not like less than me is people who come to this country and steal from the taxpayer.
So you're telling us you actually did us a favour then, are you?
No, I absolutely. As a police officer, I didn't do you a favour. I did my job.
Why do you suppose so many courts and so many juries have got it wrong?
No, hang on. It was only one set of jurors, because the first jury got it wrong because they didn't know about Mr. Baghdadi's credibility.
Okay. I think we've heard enough about him.
Okay.
Now. You've had a fair go at him.
The second jury were not told many other factors about him. That's why I'm going to the appeal.
2 courts, 2 verdicts of guilty.
Yeah. One court of appeal saying it's unsafe.
Yeah.
Second court of appeal due to be hearing the appeal in the next 12 months.
Yeah. But why do you suppose that is? You don't present yourself as a compelling witness, do you suppose?
No, I think certainly there has been enough written about me. I've been vilified and demonized in the tabloid press, certainly for the last 10 years. And if any member of the jury did check on who Ali Dizaei is, they would have been properly influenced by what's been written about him, many of which has been false, many of which, in fact, that I've gone to the High Court and received an apology.
Do you miss the Met? Do you miss working at the Met?
I have served Queen and Country for the last 25 years, and lurking back in the background is the way I performed in terms of operational policing. For example, there is very little said about the fact that when I was in Hammersmith and Fulham, I reduced crime for 30%. Very little said in the national press about when I was in Hounslow, I reduced robbery and burglary. Of course, I missed my job because I was good at it, but I'm afraid that has never ever comes out because it shatters the stereotype that the tabloid press want to create about Ali Dizaei. That's a matter of public record.
Why do you suppose there have been so many inquiries into you? Whether it is, as you say, unfounded allegations that you'd misused a company card, to vandalism of your car, to supposed whatever you did or didn't do with Mr. Baghdadi. Why is it always you?
Well, the reason being is that in the police service there is no room for radical activists. Doesn't it not surprise you, Nick, for example, through all the phone hacking saga, everything we've heard, how terrible the Met has behaved, has there been one chief constable, one single senior police officer, not a retired one, coming up and saying, this is disgusting what has taken place, John Yates, Stevenson, whoever who has admitted misconduct should be prosecuted? There isn't one. Why? Because the police service does not warm to serving police officers who come out and challenge the conventional wisdom. And I've done it for years. I came out, if you remember...
What would you charge John Yates with, or Sir Paul Stevenson? What would you charge him with?
What? Misconduct? Look, you've got a man who admits... And I don't think there's anything incontroversial about it. You've got a man who admits that he was whining and dining with the very organization that he was actually investigating. Now, come on, we are not donkeys. You don't have to be a lawyer or a police officer to find out that is something...
So you think criminal charges could be brought?
At the very least, possible misconduct. Absolutely.
Oh, internal charges.
Internal misconduct with a view to the case going to the Crown Prosecution Service. Remember, Nick, 7 years ago, and I think we discussed this last time we spoke, I was actually disciplined for accepting a free calendar from a shop. The regulation, it's a matter of record. During Operation Helios that you and I talked about,
yes, we did.
I was actually disciplined for accepting a free calendar and having a doner kebab and not paying for it. So please tell me that it is not, it is okay.
Was your phone hacked?
My phone was certainly hacked. And in fact, Andy Heyman, who ran the phone hacking inquiry, tapped my phone in 2001.
Can you prove that?
Yes, it went to the Investigatory Powers Tribunal, and Justice Burton...
Why would Andy Heyman tap your phone?
Because at the time, you may recall, in the first lot of inquiries into me, he authorised the tapping of my office phone. It was one of the first cases of breaches of privacy, which ended up in the Investigatory Powers Tribunal.
But that's not hacking, of course. The police listening to phones is a different level. But you believe a newspaper hacked your phone.
Let's join the dots. So it's Andy Heyman who authorised the interception of my phone in 2001, something that it went to the courts, and Justice Burton stated that it was unlawful. It's the same man who was in charge or partly involved with the News of the World hacking investigation, and it has been confirmed that my telephone was interfered.
You're not making the suggestion that Andy Heyman hacked your phone for the benefit of the News of the World, are you?
No, I'm not suggesting that.
Thank God for that.
No, I'm not suggesting that. But at the very least, I'm just saying...
I don't get the dots. You say join the dots.
Well,
I don't see how I get... You're saying is it the News of the World you believe hacked your phone?
Well, I know they have hacked my voice. It's been confirmed. And
how do you know?
But the police have already informed me.
So the police have come to you and say you're a victim?
Yes. Yeah.
Have they settled with you yet?
No, they haven't settled with me. It's a matter which is my solicitors are dealing with. So the point I'm making, hence the dotting analogy, all I'm saying, the same man, Andy Heyman, has a proven track record of being involved in phone interception, phone hacking.
But I still don't see how you're getting me from Heyman to the News of the World. You're not making sense, Mr.
Well, one of the criticisms...
Unless you're suggesting he's operating with the News of the World, which is a very serious suggestion.
No, one of the criticism I think it's been made is that the investigation into News International was appalling in any objective view.
I think the police accept that now.
Yeah, the police accept that. But then... the point I'm making is, and going back to the question, the issue we raised here, why is it that no one has actually been prosecuted, or why is no one being actually charged with any misconduct offence? Right. That's the key question.
You're taking some calls, which I'm grateful, Mr. Dizaei. We'll do that right after a travel update. 9:16. Andy McColl.
London's biggest conversation with Nick Ferrari at breakfast.
Ali Dizaei, released just a week or so ago after receiving, of course, a 3-year sentence for misconduct in a public office and perverting the course of justice. He's in these studios. He'll be talking in a moment about a programme he wants to get going of rehabilitation of prisoners and indeed life inside jail. Let's put a couple of callers through to him now, though. Andrew's in Richmond. Andrew, you're through to Mr. Dizaei. Go ahead.
Mr. Dizaei, if you think you're innocent, why haven't you sued the papers so that all the evidence against you is out in the open forum so that everybody can read it? As a serving police officer, I find it that you haven't sued the papers, especially the Daily Mail, who have followed you so close and reported on you so much, that you haven't either sued them or have all the evidence out in the open forum. Can you answer that?
Yeah, Andrew, thanks for the question. If I have a track record of suing the Daily Mail for the last 7 years, I think I've done it on 4 occasions, and one of them were covered in the recent BBC programme Suing Court. I do sue them, and I do win. There's not been a single case against the Daily Mail that I've sued and I haven't won. They have paid substantial damages and apologies. But the problem is, Andrew, the drip feed of vilification, the Daily Mail, constantly for the last 11 years is probably the reason why I was convicted. Because if you're a member of the jury and you Google Ali Dizaei, you see nothing
but surely, Mr. Dizaei, one of the reasons that you were convicted was the CCTV evidence.
No, the CCTV...
You can't doubt that.
Yeah, but Nick, please have a look at the CCTV because it's in Google. It's neutral. It doesn't show any... It's certainly not a Rodney King beating.
I didn't say it was a Rodney King, Mr.
I know. What it is, it is a neutral CCTV. It has no sound and so forth. And what the judge said in his summing up, very clear, very good direction by the judge. But CCTV is neutral, members of the jury. It's the credibility of the two men that you need to consider. And by the time...
But it's different to what you said in a statement, what we see on CCTV and the events that actually happen, isn't it?
No, because the CCTV, as I said, I can only go by what the learned judge said about the CCTV. He said the CCTV had no sound and it's neutral.
Come back.